Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here with WEX Field Service Management. And today we have Scott and Howard from the Azuga Telematics team joining us. Those are our experts for today. And we are going to be covering an Azuga overview, getting started in the Azuga platform, how to add users, roles, device setup, maintenance reminders, groups, alerts, geofences. We'll go over some rewards, safety cam, how to sign up and access Azuga inside of WEX FSM, and how to contact customer support if you do have any future questions about Azuga. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, Scott and Howard, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. Hand it off to Howard, and then I'm going to jump in here.
Hello, everybody. It's great to virtually meet you here today. I'm Howard Sandberg, a partnerships account manager with Azuga. I have the pleasure of working with Mark and our friends at WEX FSM, and very appreciative of the time and the platform here today to talk to you guys and tell you more about GPS telematics and the Azuga system. So, when you think about GPS, the first thing, that comes to mind usually, right, is, vehicle tracking. What is vehicle tracking? Vehicle tracking, quite simply, is enables real-time visibility for the end user to see the whereabouts of their vehicles, improve productivity and efficiency in the process. You can make better dispatch decisions, provide insights into different vehicle statistics, things such as engine idle time, stop time, driver behavior, harsh braking, sharp cornering, sudden acceleration. Makes it easier to manage your fleet from one entire solution. Um, Vast array of different benefits for vehicle tracking. One of them would be geofencing, which would be basically creating an invisible perimeter around a location. It could be a local hotspot like a Starbucks or 7-Eleven where drivers may congregate to. It could be a driver's home. If the vehicles go home at night, maybe you want to see if there's any unauthorized vehicle usage. The geofence is created, and then anytime that vehicle enters or exits that geofence, you receive an alert notification. If the vehicles go home at night, maybe you don't necessarily care if driver takes a trip to the supermarket, but you want to know if he drove 3 hours to a casino or something of that sort. Geofencing can also help with billing disputes. You can easily prove that your technician was at a job site and for the how long he was at a job site as well. Um, we talked about engine idle time. There is significant cost savings associated with that. Anywhere from, say, 10 to 20%, obviously, with the high price of fuel right now. Um, it's a significant cost savings if you've got, a driver that's just idling in a parking lot for an hour, you're talking maybe a gallon of gas. And if you've got 10 vehicles in your fleet, that adds up very, very quickly. So that's kind of a tried and true benefit of telematics systems, even from the infancy stages. You can make your payroll easier with time tracking and reporting. We also have vehicle engine diagnostics, so diagnostic trouble codes, because the devices are connected to the ECM of the vehicle. We can extract those DTCs, so you can make a determination at that point. Is this a minor problem with the vehicle? Can I afford to, keep it on the road, or is it something in which could be major? I want to get this vehicle off the road as soon as possible. So DTCs definitely a big benefit to the system as well. With that, I will hand it over to Mr. Scott Chambers, and he will talk about getting started.
Howard Samberg, thank you very much for the intro. Thanks for everybody for joining today. So I'm Scott Chambers, solution engineering with Azuga, here to help and support with WEX along with Howard. Uh, so one of the things that we wanted to kind of walk you through, and Howard kind of talked a lot about the potential benefits that you can extract from utilizing the system, is I'm going to do a walkthrough on some of the initial steps, and then we'll dive further into some of the elements that Howard kind of talked about. So, from the basics of it, if I'm signing up for an account, I might ask myself, I just got it. What do I do to set up? The first thing, obviously, we're going to do is you're going to receive a login. It's going to give you information for users. And you have the ability under our admin tab and under users to add multiple logins to an account. So you can set it up where some folks have different access level. I might want someone that can view reports. I might want someone that can see everything. You do have the ability to kind of filter to what that user would look like from it. So simply to just add someone onto an account from a user level would just be to add user. We would type in their name, their last name, their email address. If you have groups set up, which can decipher between different vehicles, whether it's something where they specialize in certain function for you, where you want to kind of really quickly allocate who they are, we can set up groups for individual vehicles as well. So you can have it recommendation. Some folks do it by location. Other folks will do it by specific job function that they have that they set up groups to make it easy to find on the UI. So when we're setting up a user on the account, some of the things that we're going to basically do, the basic features are going to be your first name, your last name. We're going to put basically a phone number, an assigned role, which you do have the ability to custom create if you like around the functions that you want someone logging into the account to use. The time zone is relatively important. That's going to display what's populating for you on that UI, plus what they would see from a reporting function as they receive some general reports. And then we're just going to save and add it there. And then it's going to create a user for you. I did talk a little bit about roles just to kind of show you where that is. That's also on the admin page. So if you have a user you've created, we'll call it a default user, which is access to everything. If you don't want it to be that default user, you can add a role. And then you can call the role name, just as an example, supervisor. I might want to do something for that. And then what I could do in that case is I could say, I want them to see certain functions under our live maps. I want them to see certain reports, and you would just check off what reports you would like to have them have the ability to check. You might want to look at this from an admin perspective and say, you know what, I don't want them to add other users. I don't want them to be able to do roles. So you do have the ability to kind of create a role that's applicable to how the function on the UI will work for you, right? So just to kind of touch on that, once a role is created and we save it, we can then go in under the users and apply that role. So that would simply be, as an example here, if I'm clicking on a user right here, I would just come in here and say, you know what, I just created that supervisor role. I want to apply it. So I could kind of, or equipment manager as an example here, and just apply that role. And then it's their login access would be applicable to that at that time. So now that we've gotten past roles and users, I think I talked a little bit about groups just to show you that's also here. So I could create a group specific to what function you want, whether it's a location. I'm out in New York, so I might have my vehicles here as an example. What's important about groups also is that you have the ability to select an administrator of a group. And why is that important? Because if you wanted to break down your reports to go to specific administrators, when you select the administrator for a group, you can automate a report to push out to just those group administrators. You don't have to go in there individually and set it up. So if you know someone's specifically in charge of a certain group, they're automatically going to split up the reporting to go to those group administrators, which makes it easier when you're setting these up. You don't even have to think about it. It's kind of apply the report, it's select the group administrator. If you have the group set up with the appropriate supervisors for each one, it's going to apply to that on that schedule report schedule that you generally have. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So now, outside of users and groups, one of the beginning things we get is you're going to have those vehicles and we're going to want to set them up so we understand what that looks like on the map. So some basics for setup from the admin page is you'll have a vehicle list here, and I could go in under vehicles and you could select the individual vehicle. And what we're going to do is I want to change the label of that individual device. So I'm going to come in here and say I've got a device number. Now, all our devices have a serial number on the bottom of them. So it's a 10-digit serial number that'll be on that label. So when you receive the box, it's an easy way for you to identify what that device number is. And when I come in here, what I want to do is I'm going to scroll to the right and there's an edit key. If I find that serial number on the left, I'm going to hit that edit key. And then basically I'm going to come in here and I'm going to have the ability to change that label for that vehicle. So where it says the initial serial number, I'm going to change it to what I want to call it. In this case, I put Stevens Jeep. Yeah, and you can apply if you want the year, make, model, what type of vehicle it is. We do have a field for license plate. You can put vehicle ownership. We actually have a field in here if you want to apply, if it's a gas, diesel vehicle as well. You could put fuel capacity if you're looking to do the fuel card segment as well. I know we do have an integration with WEX that's tied in here that you could potentially get the alerts around for fuel capacity if you were going to do that. So it's good to have that updated so we know that tank capacity for the alerts are applied properly for you as well. We do have information around registration. So if you'd like information to kind of capture for you around the driver specifically, if you want to capture dates so you don't potentially run into issues, you have reminders. We have some compliance information that you could update as well on the vehicle to kind of help you along the way. All right. So fully, we have the system kind of fully set up to kind of keep track of all these kind of dates for you. So it's a good way to kind of manage the life cycle of the vehicle along the way for you. So outside of vehicles, we just set up one of our devices. We labeled it. One of the things you're going to want to see now is, hey, you know what? I could go look on the map. I want to see where those vehicles are. So just kind of looking on the map itself, just to kind of give you a view. On the left-hand side, we have a panel that's going to give us the most current pings from our devices. On the right, you see our map with all our current vehicles on the road. You do have a grid view at the top if you want to look at this more granularly than the bubble view that I have here. If I click on this, it kind of gives me a breakdown of all my vehicles. I can kind of quickly decipher and kind of go through and see on any of them what's particularly going on. It's very easy to kind of drop in, drop out, kind of see what's going on. One of the common things I see when I see vehicles is I want to kind of know what they're doing. We do have a search box at the top here. If you're looking at multiple vehicles and you wanted to find one real quick, you can kind of just type in the vehicle number or name. It'll pop up for you. So I just typed in, as an example, Service 67. There's actually a little box here where I can kind of click on it. If I click on any of the boxes, it'll bring me to the current view. We have a couple of fields that you can kind of see in here. So I have view breadcrumb, which will allow me to see that trail map for where that vehicle went during the day, where we get a review of all the pings that occurred in that day. I have an ability to find nearest vehicle to it, where if I click on it, it'll pop up a box and I can type in the address and it'll let me know if anything's close to that. You could also use that for job allocation if you wanted to as well. We do have a field for creating a geofence right on the map if you wanted to. I know Howard spoke a little bit about that. We'll get into detail on that. And then we actually have a scheduled services as well. We're tied into Bridgestone Firestone. So if you wanted to utilize that as a function, we have that built in as well for you too. So looking at the view breadcrumb, just to kind of give you a granular look at what that would look like, I clicked on it and it populates kind of like that trail, and we'll see all the dots that kind of occurred for that breadcrumb. I can hit a play button to kind of give me a seamless view, and it'll tag along for the timestamps that we had. On the left-hand side, you'll see each minute broken down for that particular trail map that we're looking at. It'll include speed, address, any potential infractions that might have occurred. If you set up things like speeding as an example, we can kind of see along the way. You also have the ability, if you want, to click on the top here, we have a satellite button. That's going to allow you to kind of get a more granular view where I'm looking at the satellite. You could kind of zoom in as well. If you're seeing something like a speeding event and you weren't sure what the road looks like, on the left-hand side, there's like a Google Earth Man. I could drop it on the blue line on the map just to kind of get a more granular view, see where an event occurred. So I'm looking at this and I said, okay, they were speeding. I wanted to kind of get a view. There's a quick way for you to kind of dive in and just see what that road looked like during that event. If I'm looking at something from a vehicle view and I wanted to kind of get a synopsis of, something happened in the past, right here on the top, we have a calendar where I could kind of go back and look at a particular day. We you will have the ability to kind of go back on any vehicle that's connected and look up to a year on any particular day. So I could click on, the first as an example, just to kind of see what that looked like. I could go back to done and I could see that breadcrumb view from that day. And same thing, I could hit the play, I could look minute by minute, and you'll see all the mapping kind of activity that took place. You can kind of see from that view, or we have a grid view that will apply as well. If I wanted to kind of quickly decipher what happened at a certain time, this is an easy way for you to kind of filter as well. Um, all of our mapping data that you have here and most of the reports that you'll see as well, all the reports, in fact, have the ability to extract reporting data. If you wanted to, you can pull it up. There's a little icon on the back top that says export via PDF or Excel. You can extract any of the reporting data you're seeing real time. It'll populate with the data that you're currently kind of looking at right there as well too. So now that we kind of navigated some of the mapping that you're seeing here, you could kind of go in from the display and see that we have an easy way to kind of decipher some of the things here. One of the other things that I wanted to point out before I jump off of this is on the bottom, we have a tab that kind of captures events. So I could look at this. I know idling is a big one that you might want to kind of keep track of. I could look at particular idling events for an individual vehicle. I could see all the total events that happen. If you're clicking on the bottom here, you'll see some of the events that might have occurred, and you can see all the idling timestamps that happen as well too, over the course of the current day that you're looking at right now. So we have some different events for driver safety that are kind of implied as well that we might want to kind of quickly navigate through and see. And we'll talk a little bit about driver safety, how that can apply. But before
Hey,
I get into that, I'm sorry.
Scott, before we move on, there is a quick question I want to see if we can work in from Haley.
Sure.
She asks, is there a limit to how far back we can go when pulling past data? Does it erase after a certain period of time?
That's a great question. So the answer that we have around the data is you have currently the ability right now to pull up to a year from the current date that you're seeing. That's real time. We do store it on a server. So if you needed additional data, it would just simply be a request to our support team. They can pull the log files for you to share with you if it's past history beyond that as well. So we do store that data. It's just not visible on the UI at that point in time. Over a year is what it is. So, we do have that available for you if you ever need it.
Thanks, Scott.
No problem. And just to share with you, kind of going into some of the other functions that we have just to make use of it. I talked about users navigating a little on the website. The next thing I want to talk about is I did mention one of the alerts that we have and wanted to share some functions that we have that if you're not taking advantage of, you can out of the box. And I'm just going to high level talk about a couple of standard alerts that we use. Out of the box, you do get a standard speeding alert, which you could set up as well or adjust. And what is speeding? How does that apply? So our standard speeding alert is, I want you to think about this as you have your fleet. What's the highest alert you want? The highest threshold you would allow your vehicle to go where you'd want an alert set up to you. So we do have the ability in here to kind of set that alert up. And this applies to all roads. So in this case, they put an 80-mile default. We do have a buzzer function that's attached with the vehicle. How does that work? So if I happen to, in this case, go over 80 miles per hour, once I hit that threshold, the device is going to beep towards the driver. It's a continuous buzzing sound that will apply until the driver goes below the threshold. So there is kind of a give and take, meaning we hit that, there's an alert to the driver real time where the buzzing sound can be enabled to kind of let them know, hey, it's acknowledged to kind of slow down at this point because you're seeing that. Speeding will hit their driver scoring as well. So for the duration that I'm over the speeding, that will be an applicable event that could ding their scoring if you're looking at driver scoring to be applied as well too for you. With the existing alerts, you could set that up to go to a number of users as yourself. You could set it up to report real time. You could set it up as a daily occurrence if you'd like to see. However you want to ingest and consume that data, you have the ability to kind of have that set up where the alert kind of gets pushed out to you to kind of manage those expectations. The other event that I wanted to talk about was with speeding is we also support a posted speed limit that you have the ability to do. So we have two kinds of speeding. You have that standard, which is that, hey, I've got my bar for my high threshold. The other one we do is we have the ability via posted speed limit to capture speeding based on what you would consider road signs in an area. So a threshold might be 25 miles per hour. And then your alert could be set to either percentage or how high above whatever posted speed limit there is on the road. So if my speed limit is 25 as an example, and I set a threshold of 5, anytime I'm over 30 miles per hour, that wouldn't apply an alert for me. We could also set this up to a percentage of time. So what I could do is I could say he's got to be over 5 miles an hour, but I'm going to allow up to 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes would trigger the alert. You could lower that threshold as well. You might want to allow a little bit of time in case they're driving around somebody, which is explicable. That could happen in a certain situation, but the duration is adjustable, is what I want to say. You can set it for instant. If I just go over the threshold, we don't want to allow that. You have the ability to do that as well too. So there's a couple of ways that we can kind of set this alert up to apply. This also applies to driver scoring as well for you. So if we're looking to tabulate that in and the events that occur to looking over time, that's another thing that we can kind of do to kind of add in and work with the driver to kind of see that activity and kind of capture what that looks like over time for you as well too. Some of the other things that I wanted to talk about on the alerts, we do have different alerts. Howard mentioned something, if you're allowing the vehicles to go home and maybe, the drivers take them home, we do have something like an unauthorized usage alert where I could set it that the vehicles only operated Monday through Friday. They take them home, they park over the weekend. And without looking at the UI, you could set up an alert that says if it's driven sometime between, we have custom hours here. Like if I take it out anytime, like on a Saturday or Sunday, I want an alert. The rest of the week might be okay. This way you're getting an alert for anything kind of happening with that vehicle in those off-hour situations. You could even set it for during the week. An example would be, anything after 7 p.m. to like 5 in the morning, I want kind of an alert as well. So you have the ability to kind of customize this just to give you a notification that that might be occurring, right? So this is something you can kind of do for as well. Some of the other alerts that we do support, we do have things for, and I'll kind of get into this as well. If I wanted to add a different kind of alert, you do get some default ones you could play with. You will also have the ability to kind of have some other ones that potentially have. We support things from camera alerts, speeding alerts. One of the other ones you'll have is disconnect event that I might have. So for whatever reason, if the camera was disconnected, we have an alert for that. Or if you have the data logger and you lose power to it, we have the ability to put an alert for that as well for you. So it will kind of let you know that the device disconnected alert will let you know if something happens along the way where we're not reporting. We want to make sure that you're getting that activity at all times. So you do see all the reporting data. We want to alert you real time. So there's a number of ways to see that if that occurs. So the alert kind of gives you the real time view. If I were also looking at my devices, I could go and just to show you, this is easily accessible. If I go on the devices and I wanted to see what was operating on my account, if I go on the devices and you'll see the number of devices you have, and I scroll to the right, you'll see your activation date and your last connected date. Your last connected date will kind of give you the timestamp to let you know that everything's currently reporting properly as well. So it's a quick way for you to kind of glance and look at your account and say, okay, everything's running properly. I've got no issues here. Happy to see that all my devices are reporting. If not, it'll highlight, hey, there's something I might need to take a quick look at, whether it had something where you had a disconnect, maybe a low battery. It's just kind of highlights it for you real quick to kind of know that that's where to check, just to give you that visual real quick. If you're not overly looking at it, you want to spot check real quick. So just something to kind of be aware of as you're kind of going along as well. So talk a little bit about alerts, some of the ones that might potentially be useful for you. I know Howard also mentioned something around geofencing, and I do want to kind of talk a little bit about how that could apply for you as well. So we do have under our admin section, we do have a function called geofence, and you can set up a geofence in either a circular or you have the ability to kind of put some stamps around what you'd like to look like. So just to kind of give you a purview of what a geofence kind of can look like. You can add a name to it. You could add the particular address. And then what you could do is kind of basically stamp if you want to know when a vehicle enters an area or leaves an area. So how's that applicable? So you could look at this for a job site and say, I want to know when someone gets to a first job location. and you want to timestamp that as well, right? So if you have a fence around it, it's going to give you the ability to run a report and see when someone enters or exits a location. It could be for a delivery stop. Yeah, it might have a common location where we come to pick up supplies and you want to be alerted about that. It could be a home location. It could be your technician covers a certain area. You want to make sure the vehicle's in that area. So there's a lot of ways to kind of utilize geofencing. I particularly like the ability to kind of make sure that, if you have a question about job service and how long someone was there, this is a good way for you to kind of maintain and manage to see when they were in that particular location as well too. The other point I was kind of talking about too is you do have the ability to kind of go in there and do a polygon. So if I wanted to kind of create a geofence and I wanted to get a little more custom around the area that I have, you have the ability to kind of come in here and really manage what that looks like in that geofence area. So I don't have to necessarily do a circle. You can make it as large or as small as you want around a particular location to kind of really have a custom feel for it as far as what you want to see. You also, besides the ability to kind of have the geofence around a certain location, you have the ability to customize the hours that geofence might apply. So maybe you only want a geofence applied Monday through Friday. You do have the ability to kind of customize the days or hours that applies to as well. So just to let you know, there's some real customization you could put into this to kind of work around the job locations that you're utilizing to kind of give you a full view without operationally looking at it all the time. These are kind of things that could kind of be embedded where you're looking at it more of a report level to kind of give you that detail as well. So wanted to kind of share that with you around geofences. I hope you take advantage of this and get to utilize this as well as part of your day. It's embedded with all the accounts, so feel free if you have any questions. We're happy to kind of help you along the way with that as well too.
And just real quick as a reminder to everyone, we'll be doing our Q&A in about 15 minutes. So if you do have any questions, get those in the chat early and we'll be able to go over those in the Q&A.
Absolutely. So, and just to share with you on that, so we talked a little bit about our breadcrumb, our alert, our users. We're going to go right now into our report section, and then I'm going to talk about, actually, I'll talk about our rewards, and then we'll talk about reports. So one of the other features we have, and I'm going to go back and forth here for you, is we do implement from a driver scoring perspective an embedded reward system. So one of the reporting data pieces you're going to get, and I'll show you that report, is driver scoring. And how is driver scoring important for us? It helps us if we're concerned about insurance, driver safety, most importantly, right? The ability to kind of give them some gamesmanship around their performance on a weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis. So we have a tool embedded in here for you if you wanted to take advantage of it with our rewards program, where I can go and look at my particular drivers and see their performance on a ongoing basis to not only monitor but provide them with some kind of reward if I wanted to as well for their performance if they're doing something to kind of protect the company and they're driving in a good way, right? So some of the activities that you might potentially see from rewards, and I'll click on one of my drivers. So just by clicking on the rewards dashboard, in this case, we're looking at a month of data. You do have the option to kind of look at it from a quarterly view, particular dates if you want. And what we do is we categorize the drivers into whether they're safe, they're in our watch list group, or they're risky. You'll see the colors kind of change. So if I clicked on one of the other ones, you kind of see the ability to kind of see what that might look like. If I'm looking at it from all drivers, you'll see that the ability to kind of showcase what we're seeing there as the score kind of changes from one to the other. So if I'm looking at this as well, I'll give you an example. If I'm looking at Jessica, some of the reward criteria we're taking is what's the total miles driven. We're taking into account for her how many hard braking events she had, which would be anytime I'm over 19 miles per hour and I stop 8 to 11 miles per hour within a second. That would give me a hard braking event that would be applicable to that driver score. The other thing that I might potentially do is we talked a little bit about our speeding events and seeing that kind of data as well. So that's calculated into the score as well. We take into any kind of hard cornering, sudden acceleration. We do have the ability to kind of give you seatbelt capture as well from a vehicle. And that would be anytime I'm driving with speed and I have the seatbelt not clicked at that time, would kind of be something that would kind of apply as well into capturing some of that driver scoring for you as well. So some good safety features that we have embedded to kind of give you the data that you're seeing here. Now, if I'm looking at this and I said, okay, for the past month, Jessica's been my best driver. We do have a built-in rewards program where I can fund directly the account to kind of push out a gift card to Jessica. So I'm going to say Jessica's been my best driver. And just to show you, we have some tied in brands for gift cards. So I might come in here and say, I want to give Jessica a Dunkin' Donuts gift card, or I might want to give her something from a Lowe's as an example. So you could select the gift cards that are available. We can push out a gift card to her, and then we actually give you the ability to see the history of that. So if I've pushed out that gift card to that driver, we'll see if it was sent, if it was redeemed. The driver will receive it via, we have an app called Azuga Fleet Mobile. They'll see it. There'll be a code that they can redeem it from. They'll also get it if they don't have the app loaded via an email. So the email that you have tied to the driver would receive that reward and they'd be able to redeem it at that time. So just two ways they could basically see and redeem that award directly if you're pushing that out to them. So just wanted to share that with you as well. So relevant information. So, uh,
I
and
think, Scott, if I could jump in really quick,
yeah,
I think the scorecards, the rewards, definitely some of my favorite features in the system. Like you said, through gamification, drivers compete with each other, and then you see the incentive driving the behavior literally, and you see those driver scores go up. So it really helps as well to just create a culture of safe driving and protecting yourself, obviously, in the process from a liability perspective. And what's great about the scores, you can use them. You can access the scores if you're using just a GPS vehicle tracking device or data logger, or if you are utilizing cameras as well. And I know, Scott, you're going to touch on cameras here in just a bit.
sure, absolutely. Yeah. Howard, thanks for that segue. I'm just gonna, before we get there, I wanted to kind of encapsulate on reporting for them, and then we'll jump right into safety cam for you right here. So Um, and in our reporting data, you do see that we have the ability to pull a number of reports. I'm going to highlight a couple of them for you. So the one that we just kind of talked about was our driver scoring. If you wanted to get a breakdown of our events, I could kind of pull and generate a report. You could select the time. I could look at a particular driver and I could see like a breakdown of everything that that driver had over the period of time. I could see the number of events they had and I can kind of click in and see the activity that I'm seeing here. So on a daily basis, it'll tell me how many braking, how many speeding events, how many of the other events that I'm seeing potentially within that score if they had any kind of infractions along the way. So just wanted to kind of share that we do have the ability to pull that data for you and kind of give you that granular view on a daily basis on how they performed overall. So I can kind of see multiple drivers as an example here where you might have someone that had some hard braking events. You might have someone that had some other hardcore braking events that you might potentially see, and you'll see the kind of events trigger that happen. We could easily go into the breadcrumb review to see what time that event occurred. So if you wanted to kind of get granular, they were driving, where it occurred. We have the ability to kind of click in and see those events as well directly from there as well. So just a little bit more about driver scoring to Howard's point, using the gamification if you like, and then the detail and data that we provide around that as well. Some of the other reports that we have that potentially could be useful for you, I would recommend using the trips report that we have. Trips report is an easy way for you to see the driver activity on a daily basis with just the activity from when I turn my ignition on and off on a vehicle. So we can kind of see the history. I could look at this by my most recent, by my vehicles. I could kind of pick any of the vehicles that I'm looking at here that I have within my field and just kind of randomly look for it and kind of see what's going on as an example. So if I wanted to kind of see the trips, what we get in the detail around that is I'm going to see information for when I turn the ignition on, my depart time, my ignition off, the arrival time, how long that trip took, the distance traveled, our stop time. You could see if we have fuel consumed, miles per gallon, you'll see the operating cost. Idle time is a big one that we want to kind of maybe keep track of as well. We do have an alert around idle. There is also the ability, if you have an idle alert set up, to add a buzzer function in it. So the example would be if I'm a driver and I'm idling over 10 minutes, I want the device to buzz at the driver to acknowledge so they would turn the ignition off. So we do have the ability to kind of add that in right out of the box for you. If you're not utilizing that as well, that's something that can be added or turned on as well for any of the devices that you have. You will see during the trip if there was their max speed, their average speed during a trip, and then you have the ability, if you'd like as well, to kind of see the map view of what each trip segment looked like. So we tell you the start time, the end time, and then you'll see the actual trip where it started and ended. If there were any kind of events in between, meaning like they had a speeding event, they would be highlighted in between here as well. I can go through and just kind of filter through a driver's day, uh, looking at different particular trips. So I'm looking in this case at his first trip, then his second trip. I'm seeing basically the breakdown of what that looked like, and kind of gives you a real granular view of what occurred during the day for a driver, just to kind of get that view as well. As you kind of see, just I wanted to kind of get a view of what that looked like. So definitely something to take advantage of as far as giving you a quick view of where a driver was, and just kind of having that encapsulated view without maybe that stop time in between, if you wanted to kind of just jump into where they started, where they went, and what time that started from, and how long it took. So definitely a report to kind of take advantage of as well. Um, some of the other reports, I know Howard mentioned we do diagnostics reports, which is reading directly from that ECM. So if I wanted to see what kind of trouble codes I have, if I'm looking at a particular vehicle, and I click on one of them, we will show you the OBD2 code that's applied to it. So I can learn, we actually have, if it's not directly in here, we'll give you a link that'll kind of show you, if I want to learn more, what that particular code might apply to. And what's nice as well is, this will kind of give you an indicator if something's a major violation or something that we need to potentially look at. The report, the repair importance of it. So the severity, if that's going to be something that's going to impact the vehicle, we need to kind of get it serviced right away. Or if I'm going to allow it to kind of go and then get serviced later on, you will see a scale kind of come in here as well to kind of give you some definition around that for your visibility. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I can look at this, by the way, and say, you know what, I want to schedule that as a report that comes to me in general. So we do have the ability in any of the reports, you'll see a button on the top where I can click schedule. And then I could say, I want this in an Excel file. I could see the fields that I potentially want to include in my report. I can hit next. I can say, okay, I want what group of vehicles I potentially want. I can also hit next on that. I'm going to encapsulate all vehicles. I could say who the report is going to go to. I could show the driver if I wanted to. I could say go back and add the group administrator. And you could set the report frequency. So I might want this daily, and I might want this at a certain time. I could also set this as a weekly report or monthly or quarterly. And this applies to all reports. You do have the ability to customize any of the report data that you're seeing and have it generated to automatically go out to you. If you just wanted to trial a report, we do have the ability to put an expiration on it. So you could run a report for you and time it out after a week or so, or a month or so, or you can make it a permanent one as well. All of our reports you will see them up on the top here for our schedule reports. So if I'm looking at our existing schedule reports, I have the ability to kind of look in here. You'll see who they're scheduled to go to. You do have the ability at any time, if you needed to cancel a report or create a new one, it's pretty easy to kind of go in there and update that. One of the other things that we potentially offer, if you're looking at some of the reporting data and you're saying, hey, I'm getting some data fields from one report, but not, and I see it in another one, you want to combine that, we do have a concierge service for custom reporting that we could connect with you as well to kind of get that implemented. So just to let you know, we do have some more options outside of what you might be potentially seeing from existing reports that might be applicable to you. So just noting on that. Howard, did you want to talk about anything else in reporting? You want to jump right into safety cams here?
Uh, yeah, I think you did a great job there, Scott, of really covering everything in respect to the reports. So, because we are short of a little bit short on time, I just want to quickly get into safety cams here. So, we do provide safety cams with AI technology, right? So they are dual facing. The in-cab portion can be shut off or disabled upon request. But so it's road facing and cabin facing. And some of the distracted driving events that it will produce include, is the driver looking down at his cell phone? Is he, looking out the side mirror, the side window rather? Do his eyes look fatigued? Is a seatbelt on? Harsh braking, sharp cornering, sudden acceleration, tailgating, critical distance, a whole myriad of different driving events. And you do have the ability as an end user to access these events here in the portal. You can request a video as well. So maybe you wanted to go back and maybe Scott, if you could just quickly show the fatigue. I like that one a lot.
Sure.
The
Absolutely.
driver there. That's
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see from Howard's point here, the AI captures the activity around the driver, and we'll see what's kind of going on. And what's more important that you're not physically seeing here is the camera actually talks to the driver. So if it recognizes that he's got a fatigue event, it's going to say fatigue detected, stay alert. So what's great about that is, we're implementing real-time driver safety along with the AI capture that you're seeing there. So if I'm not wearing a
Mhm.
seatbelt, it'll alert me. If I'm having a fatigue event, the vehicle will alert us as well too. So there's some added element for driver safety along with what's going on as far as the roadside and driver side as well. So besides potential exoneration for an event that happened, the real-time coaching is really valuable for what you're kind of getting at it, utilizing a camera system as well here too. And then
That's a really a great point, Scott, because I cite myself, I'm not a good driver, right? And sometimes I know, yeah, I've slammed on my brakes. Sometimes I'll be a little too close and I'm probably tailgating, right? But I don't think I'm tailgating. And the camera will literally say to me, tailgating. And then I recognize, well, you know what? Got to watch it here. So I think that is just a tremendous feature to really help coach a driver to adopt a safer driving style. Then you can take these videos, right? You can put comments in the videos. You can address the events with the driver, right? To serve as a real coachable moment. And, this is how you see an improved driving behavior, liability reduction. You mentioned Scott accident exoneration as well. And many times, unfortunately, it's not the fault of the driver, which is good, but you don't necessarily know it if you're not using a camera. So the camera, can help exonerate a driver if it's not his fault. Even if it is his fault, it'll help you get through claims faster. Can help with expensive litigation. Unfortunately, when you do have your company logo on a vehicle, you do become a target. We're seeing every year more and more scammers creating accidents, fraudulent insurance claims. So it's just great to protect yourself overall, and the cameras are a great way to do that.
And then there's one more piece I want to touch on, Howard, before you do. So if you do unfortunately do have a collision event, we do actually have in our reports a collision detection report that you can kind of see as well. And this would kind of give you kind of a full view of an event that might have occurred. Where if I'm clicking on it, just to kind of show you, we have a breakdown of the entire event where we kind of encapsulate what happened from a G-force perspective. So we're looking at potential force of impact. We're capturing the time of day that it occurred. We're giving you a breakdown of the actual event. And we actually have with the cameras a tied in replay that you can kind of see as well. So we'll kind of do that for you as well as far as what we're seeing here. So
Insurance companies love this piece right here. And one last thing I will add is that I definitely highly encourage any of you guys to reach out to your insurance company. We're seeing more and more of them issue discounts on premiums. So it's definitely something worth looking into.
mhm. Yeah, we did capture.
Let's,
I'm sorry, again.
I would say we need to get to our Q&A to make sure we give enough time. I already
Absolutely.
see some questions coming in. And what we're going to do now, we're going to move to our Q&A. So please put your questions in the chat. We've got Scott and Howard here who are able to show you in the system and give you an example and answer your questions. And then what we will do just before we leave and end the session today is I'll show you where you can access this inside of WEX FSM. And if you don't have this feature already and you would like to add on to it, I'll also show you where to sign. So when you log in to your system in WEX FSM, if you do not have this already, or you want to update your subscription or even just view it, you would go to Settings, Subscriptions. That will bring you to the subscriptions page. At first, you will be on the My Plan tab, and that will show you your current monthly subscription with WEX FSM. And then you would click on additional products and scroll down to Azuga Vehicle Tracking. To sign up, you will click the red plus button, and that gives you some options. There are two different plans currently. You can get the Azuga GPS bundled plan, and that would be $25 a month. And then you can get the safety cam. You can select whether you want to just have the like the device to be connected or the safety cam, which would then come with all of the safety cam features we talked about today. If you do have any questions, you can go to the Help Center and then go to Contact Support, and they will be able to field any questions you have there, assist you there. And if you click on Help, you can also just search Azuga to find our materials on Azuga. And lastly, if you go to the schedule page, once you have Azuga set up in your WEX FSM system, you will click on vehicle tracking right here on the schedule page. And then that will bring you to the Azuga platform. And everything we looked at today, everything that Howard and Scott screen shared was from this side of things. You will get a login that you will use to log in to Azuga to be able to use that platform. Okay, so that concludes our presentation and Q&A for today. Again, if you do have any questions after this, you can always just go to the Help Center and contact support. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for Howard and Scott from the Azuga team for joining us today. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Azuga Vehicle Tracking.